This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning and welcome to a glorious sunrise here from the low veld of South Africa. It's probably about 18 degrees or so, and you are on a live African safari. There is the sun coming into focus. As I say, a lovely dawn here on the western fringes of the great Limpopo Transfrontier Park. My name is James Hendry. There is my smiling visage in the sun, and on camera today, the inimitable Theodore. Island style again, excellent. And you, of course, are the most important part of what we're doing out here today. And that is because we would like to hear from you. And you can talk to us using the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter. Otherwise, if you're a youngster, you can send us an email to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Alternatively, you can use the chat streams on Twitch or YouTube, and we will do our level best to monitor all of those feeds and see if we can glean some interesting comments and questions from you. I think that is the end of the housekeeping section of this particular drive. Our plan is to lurk about the western fringes of Djuma. Lauren is doing a similar kind of thing. She's looking for a leopard though, and if her leopard tracks don't go onto Simbambili, I'm going to race there and see if we can find the dogs. That's the general idea, because we had a lovely dog sighting yesterday evening, but we haven't had the puppies in the light just yet.
Good morning to all of the viewers around the world, and welcome. We are live at andBeyond in Ngala. Behind the steering wheel today is me, Eric, and behind camera we welcome Gert, who's come from Pridelands, and we say goodbye to Owen, who's actually just gone on leave. And we decided to come down into this part of the reserve. And the reason being is that the trackers yesterday were looking for that pride of lions that you had with the RP. And they said that they found a hyena den somewhere close to this area, off to the left of us. And so we're just basically waiting. They would like to come and show us exactly where to go and how to get there. So we're just sitting and waiting and listening and seeing if we can maybe just hear anything before we go in towards that hyena den. Apart from birds, we haven't heard anything yet. Linda, this is probably one of the best places in the reserve, in my opinion, to watch the sunrise. And quite often in these big open spaces in front of us, there's often animals that are here. But by the looks of it, they've already started their day. And if we look down here on the right, I mean, there's evidence of animals all around us. And I'll show you quickly what I'm talking about. So just within the space of 3 or 4 meters, we've got a big hyena dung, this white one here on the ground. I'm not going to get too close to that. Then we've got some wildebeest, which is this one, which tends to, it's poorly, but it does group together like that. And it's probably the most abundant dung that we have in this area. If you look all the way around us, it's just littered with wildebeest dung. And so there's often a male who'll come and make this his territorial spot, but then he does get joined by females every now and again. And so we tend to get these nice big congregations of 15, 20, maybe sometimes 30 wildebeest at a time. There's also old zebra dung here, there's Impalas. So this is a very popular spot for animals. So I think the trackers are nearby. And as soon as they guide us in towards that hyena den, I'm sure we'll see you soon.
Good morning everyone. Oh my goodness. just going to reply to James. A farm crossing into Simbambili. My name is Lauren and I do have BK on camera. And we're racing, we're bumbling, the sun is coming up, and we are trying to catch either the pack of wild dogs or Shadulu. Now, Shadulu was said to be very, very close to crossing last night. So what I'm doing is just scanning the road to see if there's any signs of a leopardess popping in. She's either very close or she's in Djuma. So that's my plans for this morning. It would be so great to also try and catch those dogs. Now, they are in Arathusa. The puppies are said to be about 10 weeks old. I'm talking about the Pungwe pack. So they're almost a little bit too old and too big to be properly denning. But you never know. They may spring into Simbambili. And that's exactly what I'm hoping for.
Good morning everyone and welcome to a very crisp andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. My name is Matt and behind the camera we've got Craig. And this morning we've managed to find 5 kudu bulls who are at the moment out of picture and making their way down further into the valley. I'm probably up this morning grazing while it's not as windy as it has been the past couple of days. And I can only imagine that they'll continue feeding, but I'm not sure if you might be able to see as Craig pans in 1 or 2 really large kudu bulls, and it's not something that we see very often here on Phinda. And you can see those really broad horns of those 2 in picture at the moment, and then 1 or 2 younger bulls on the right hand side. As we got here, they all sort of stopped to stare and look at what we were all about. But as the sun starts to creep up over the horizon, you'll see those golden rays start to shine on them, and I can imagine today's going to be quite a hot day, not a cloud in the sky. Eventually probably head to those thicker areas down below. Thank you very much everybody for the warm welcome. Myself and Craig this morning are going to look for some lions. I know we haven't seen a couple of them or any of them in the last few days. Two of these kudu have really impressive horns. Not very curly, but long, broad, and yeah, exactly that, just really impressive horns. And as I was saying earlier, not something that we see very often, so it's just nice to take them all in. The biggest species of antelope that we get here on andBeyond Phinda, and something that could potentially help us find those lions. They've got quite a deep bark that they use to alert one another and everything else in the vicinity that there's predators around. So we'll keep a listen out for that bark this morning if we are lucky enough, and we'll keep searching these open areas, maybe go past 1 or 2 of the watering holes where they could potentially be at some stage today for a bit of a drink, and the perfect spot for things like lions to rest up and wait for the perfect opportunity to potentially hunt. DD1, you ask a very interesting question. What is the difference between horns and antlers? We here in South Africa don't have any antelope or deer with said antlers. All of the antelope that we have horns, like you saw now with those kudu off to our side. The difference, I think, yeah, I'd have to check that, but I know antlers molt, so things like moose and deer. Couple of places in South Africa we get fallow deer, but that's not something that we have here on andBeyond Phinda. But very, very interesting. You'll see, and female kudu, funny enough, don't have horns. It's just the males that have them. A lot of the antelope species, you might see that. Things like Impala, only the males have horns. Ngala are the same. But all of the above mentioned antelope could help us find these lions that we're after this morning. beautiful views out here on the western side of this reserve. As you have a look back, Craig pans back, open grasslands, which you never know, we might even come across something like a cheetah this morning now while it's still quite cool. Out on the move, potentially hunting as well. But yeah, we're going to continue looking for these lions, myself and Craig, and hopefully when you come back to us, we'll have some more luck.
We've decided to head off towards the east. The western sector of Djuma is now full of people, so maybe we'll be lucky on the eastern edge. Maybe, with Tandy the leopard. Tandy the leopard, that would be great. In the meantime, not much going on from a mammal point of view. I'm sure there are animals under the ground going about their business industriously, termites and ants and the like, but currently none of them visible to us. I'll do my best to find one now. Frantic looking for creatures. Just have a quick stop here and then a listen.
WildEarth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the WildEarth family.
We're still bashing through Simbambili, hoping that we can hear the ooh, 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 ooh. I don't think that is a very accurate representation of the dogs, but that's what we're listening out for. BK is all ears. Kirsten's saying excellent. Thank you, Kirst. You've always got my back. But yes, they are not on Simbambili, but of course the animals do not know the boundaries, and James actually got them here yesterday, so I'm hoping it's now light that they're probably, well, they've actually probably already had breakfast, to be honest, and that we're able to catch sight of them. Wild dogs only den for normally 3 months, and the pups are, I think, 10 to 11 weeks. So it's really coming to the end of that period where they need to be fixed at a particular den site. The pups are big. They're still very much puppies, where their paws don't quite fit their bodies, but they are big. And I believe yesterday, a girl from Simbambili actually counted 12. And that is exactly the number that we were looking for. We know one got taken by a Talamati lioness. All of you are hoping for the dogs. Yes, me too. I actually came this way looking for Shadulu, but since I'm in the area, we have to look for both and listen for both. Shadulu is somewhere nearby, and she was marching very fast towards Djuma last night, I believe. We're coming up to a pan called Boundary Pan, and the dogs are just south of that. Or they were last night, should I say. Dogs move very, very fast. I thought it was a lion track, but I think it's a very, very large hyena. Or large feet, whichever one you want to go with. Okay, we're almost at that pan. We're going to switch off and listen for the dogs.
And so we have just managed to find this hyena den. The track has brought us straight here. And the only thing that we're seeing at the moment, it's in a difficult view. I might try and creep a little bit forward just to get that branch out of the way. But it's it looks like it's two youngsters. See, there's the adult that's just picked up its head. So I am going to just creep a little bit forward. You might see a slight shake in the camera for a bit. But I just want to get that branch because it's directly in the way. There we go. I think that's a little bit better. There we go. to see this. This is the first active hyena den that we've physically found for the last sort of 6 months or so, so it's really cool to see. So that one with the head up there is the mother, and then just to the right in the long grass. So this hyena's just sleeping, and it looks like it's suckling, and I don't think it's just one. I think there's actually 2 cubs that are here, and they're slightly off. I mean, this is brand new. We've just arrived, we've just seen it, so we actually don't even know where the burrow is. There is a fallen over tree, which is just there to the left. So that big tree is a fallen over jackalberry, and through it looks like there is a burrow. So that's probably where the young ones are keeping nice and safe. It's quite an inconspicuous den site. And like I was saying, it just for now it seems like it's at least 2 youngsters that are probably siblings, because they suckling from the same mother. And they found a really nice patch of grass where they're enjoying the morning sun. It is surprising how warm it is already, and it feels like summer is fast approaching. The Jerry, this clan at the moment doesn't have a name. I think just because for convenient reasons we in the eastern part of the reserve, and so we could refer this as the Eastern Clan or the Buffalo Flats Clan, but we haven't really thought about it yet. And I think what we sometimes struggle with hyena dens on Ngala is finding them again once they've moved. It just seems like they tend to move and use quite a lot of den sites around. So this, I mean, it could be only active for a couple of weeks before they decide to move it again. And as a result, we don't really know the hyenas intermittently. Ranzo zombies, they definitely do eat bones, and I think that they're very, very well known for being some of the most effective, not only scavengers but predators in Africa. And the reason being is that they're just so unselective with their food choice, and so they're quite capable of after the lions have basically picked a carcass clean, they'll move in and they can utilize all of the things that the lions couldn't. And so bones is often one of them. And a big hyena female like that is quite capable of crunching through and breaking buffalo's femur and leg bone, which is a couple of inches in diameter. So they've not only got the teeth and the jaw strength to crack those bones, but they can also, they've got super high stomach acid to try and digest all of the bone. And if you're watching a little bit earlier on, I pointed out very, very briefly a big pile of hyena dung, and it was white. Kazid, I think it's almost a theoretical question that you've asked, so I don't know if I can give you a true answer. In theory, I would say that they're capable of taking down a giraffe, but I don't know if it's been witnessed too much before. If there's exceptions, like if there's a youngster who's been stranded and separated from the mother, or if it's a very, very old one, potentially. But I just think, where lions have the advantage of hunting giraffe is they get to jump on the backs and weigh the giraffe down. And I can't really see how a hyena would be able to get and tackle a giraffe if it is standing up. I mean, a fully grown giraffe, stomach and tail is probably higher than what a hyena can reach. And so it's a difficult one. But I mean, if it's a weak and injured one, then there's always a chance. But there's quite a lot of smaller things that are slightly easier for these hyenas to go after. And so if they see a giraffe, they probably don't consider it too much as a food source, but rather go looking for something else which is slightly more practical and easier. Now, I'd say within this area, I mean, most of these hyenas are probably following prides of lions and scavenging off them, which is much easier than hunting.
We've just stopped on Simbambili clearing, admiring the view because it's very beautiful. I'm just watching the impala. The impala would probably hear the hoo, hoo, hoo if the dogs were around, and they would be very alert. They would probably start stotting. Impala don't alarm call for dogs. They just run. There's no time. There's no time to turn around and alarm call. I don't think that would prevent the dogs anyway, whereas it does prevent leopards. So it's always just worth watching them. But this particular herd seemed very relaxed. An open clearing like this is perfect hunting grounds too. I mean, the dogs could have gone further west, they could have gone south. But it's definitely worth checking. As soon as you see more than one impala stotting off and running really fast, you know there's something on their tail, and it can only be the dogs. I'm just trying to plan where I'm going to go next. This is a time in the morning you need to catch them. And if you don't catch them now, once it gets too hot, then they're going to settle. Oh, we've got a monkey at the top of the tree, BK. A Vervet monkey. Good morning, monkey. I can only see one, but I'm guessing the rest of the troop are maybe somewhere. It's very rare to find a Vervet monkey alone. They rely on one another. Oh, you found another one, BK. I was looking at a different one. Okay, yes, there's definitely more than one. This one's got a little baby. Starting to wake up. Monkeys also alarm call. It's quite an ugly, scratchy, guttural sound. No, that's actually not how it sounds. Can you do the monkey, BK?
No,
you can't. But it's it's not an attractive sound, but when a monkey starts to call, it's very difficult to determine where the predator is because they have such incredible eyesight that they can see for miles, and therefore they could actually be looking at a predator very, very far away, out with our visual range, and they're alarm calling at it. They've also got the advantage of height. So it's very tricky to determine when a monkey starts to call, but you do get the rough area. Oh, I think there's a baby just down a little bit, BK. I'll point it to you. Here, is this a youngster? I think so. I was actually having a discussion about the Vervet monkeys yesterday. They're so adorable. It makes it very hard to be angry at them, but they're also very naughty in our camp, and they cause a lot of trouble. Yeah, I think that's a youngster. They settle in the trees at night time. a sort of open, exposed tree like a marula wouldn't work. Especially in winter, you need an evergreen tree. Ah, beautiful. Okay, I think we're going to keep bumbling. I just want to do one last loop to see if I can pick up on any signs of the dogs anywhere. And then we'll maybe come back here. I don't want to leave it too late. The sun's already quite high up in the sky. Kirsten completely lost comms. Are you getting comms, BK? Sorry, I'm afraid it must be the area that we are in, but we do not have comms with Kirsten. I know she's trying to communicate with me though. I'll keep driving just in case we pop into a good signal range.
Got lots of elephant tracks, and that's about all so far. We've come off to the eastern side of Djuma, and we are hoping for some stroke of enormous luck this end of the world. Apparently today is World Elephant Day. It's following close on the heels of World Lion Day, which I unfortunately did not celebrate with some lions. Hopefully we'll celebrate World Elephant Day with more than just that impala. Don't run away, stay where you are. Well done. Stout fellow. Having himself a browse. The classic impala movement of diet according to the seasons. So blessed is the physiology of the impala that it is able to browse and graze. And now he stares into the risen sun, contemplating his life and the existence of life. While an oxpecker takes ticks off and gives him a little tickle. As I've always said, or as I have often said, I would very much like to have my own personal oxpecker that tickled me all day long. What do you think, Theo? Would you like to have an oxpecker? Just scratching here and there. It would be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, Theo agrees. I wonder if there's a business opportunity there in raising and training domesticated oxpeckers. I mean, I think that just looks delightful. Theo and James's oxpeckers. I think it will be a wonderful business. We need a catchphrase though, Theo. I would name my oxpecker after my wife, of course. I would call my oxpecker Kirsten the Oxpecker. Theo, what would you call your oxpecker?
I'll think about it.
Do you think the business would work? Online oxpeckers. One free box of ticks with each bird purchased. I wonder if Take-A-Lot would consider taking on the product. Take-A-Lot, for those of you who don't know, is the South African equivalent of Amazon. It's about 1/100th the size, but it's the local equivalent. Shame this chap's got a bit of a notch out of his ear. I wonder what happened to him. Kelly, oxpeckers are us. That's a pretty good business name. I think it's a business that may take a little bit of time to catch on and bear fruits. Well, Trish, that is a valid concern. It is entirely possible that they could relieve themselves on us and our clients. Maybe we could sell small Oxpecker nappies with them that you have to change twice a day. I now have the image of an Oxpecker with a small nappy. Yes, Indigo Girl, peck and pick. Peck and pick Oxpecker ink. Your natural tickle, something like that. Jerry, I have not had too much coffee this morning. I overslept, and so I definitely have not had enough coffee this morning. The whole side business going on here in Oxpecker nappies. Wow, something to think about.
Welcome back everybody to andBeyond Phinda, and just speaking about oxpeckers and a box of ticks, we found a herd of buffalo who are like those kudu we saw earlier, all making their way away from us sadly, but one or two of them did have a couple of oxpeckers following them, red-billed oxpeckers on their backs and in their ears. I'm not sure about tickling their ears, but having a look for things like ticks and other parasites that they could eat. There was a particularly big buffalo bull that I think has made his way down into that valley in front of us, but he was missing a horn. And oh, there's another one looking at us now that Craig zoomed into, missing half of his right horn. And you can actually see this is the back end of the herd. The rest of the herd is off to the left hand side, probably from a fight from one of the other bulls that's trailing this herd, just because they're a little bit older, a little bit more grumpy, trailing the stronger animals. They often also have to fight for dominance between one another, and he probably lost his horn that way. But you can see all busy grazing this grass, or what's left of it. Now this time of year you can see it's quite dry, doesn't have much nutrients, but they'll, because they're bulk grazers, just eat as much of it as they can. Not sure if you listen carefully, there are a couple at the back. X-ranger, yes, we do often find oxpeckers on other animals. Things like impala, herds of zebra, often on even things like rhino, that can be a good aid for us to find rhino in areas. They've got a very harsh call, oxpeckers. I'm not very good at mimicking bird calls, but yeah, very sort of harsh shriek of a call that they have. So if you listen out for that, and maybe this morning, because there's not much wind, we might be able to hear that, we will be able to listen for them. But yes, we do find them on a lot of other animals. But again, like those kudu, all seem to be making their way away from us this morning, sadly. We're still searching for those lions, and it looks like this particular herd of buffalo is also on their way to a watering hole. Maybe we strike gold at a watering hole this morning with these lions, but we'll keep searching, Craig and I, for the time being. Just nice to sit and soak up some of the sun this morning. It was a particularly fresh morning out here in Phinda. There were 2 oxpeckers that just flew past us, but sadly didn't call, so you weren't able to hear that. Yes. Yellow-billed oxpeckers are extremely rare here. In fact, I have never seen one on this reserve, and I don't think I ever will, sadly. But up in the sort of midsection of the Kruger National Park, the Palabora area, and a little bit further south is where you'll find them. Very pretty birds, slightly bigger than the red-billed, but also that striking yellow bill of theirs, which I'm sorry we don't get here, because they are exactly that, very pretty birds to watch. Tricky question, Sky. I love all animals, as everyone will say. I think just because they're so elusive here and everywhere else, most probably the leopard for me is my favorite animal. We seldom get to see them here, but when we do, it's extra special to see them. That, and then the wild dog, which we also sadly don't have here, but in a couple of the other places that you've been watching, you might have been lucky enough to see them. We'll keep searching. I know our neighbouring reserve has, and we hope that one day they'll sneak underneath the fence and onto our side. And every so often that does happen, and it's absolute pandemonium on this reserve, because you can imagine everyone wants to come and see them. Even 1 or 2 youngsters I see now running around in this herd of buffalo. We'll keep watching them, see if they get up to anything interesting. But for now, I think we'll head into an area where someone has found tracks of a lion.
So we decided to leave those hyenas, and the reason being is that the view just wasn't so good, and it looked like they were settling in for a nice morning drink, and we're not too far away from this waterhole. So a quick little swing past here to see if any animals are around. The only animals that we can see so far are a few birds, and then somewhere behind us is a magpie shrike that's shrieking very loudly. But we've got a couple of hippos here. And not much else going on. It almost seems, I don't know if it's the increase in temperature, but it just seems like this waterhole's shrunk since I've last seen it, and that was only 2 or 3 days ago. So one of the reasons why we decided to come into this area is because we are heading back down towards the Timbavati River, and this is always the nicest route to come past. I love coming past a waterhole, no matter what time of day it is. And Megan, it is a serene sight. I wish it's something that I've always been talking about, but I wish there was more animals that we would see frequently around this waterhole. It just doesn't seem to be the case. But it's just so nice, especially at this time of year, to be driving through these really dry patches where the grass is golden. You can see it's falling down. There's lots of dust in the air, and then you come to this beautiful source of water. Probably one of the reasons why Ngala has been so productive recently is because we've had this nice big waterhole that keeps the animals coming back. Not only that, but I guess also the good grass that we have around it. And those lions have been utilizing this area in the last 3 or 4 days. It does seem, however, that they have started to move away from the waterhole. So maybe they decided to go off for a hunt, and they've actually crossed out of our property. So we won't be looking for them this morning, and that's why we decided to start heading down towards the river to see if we can find a leopard or something like that. There's a couple of doves that are down here having a drink. Oh no. Oh, Elizabeth, I would love some early rains to come. I think we've still got a couple of months. I mean, November is usually when we get our rains, but we sometimes get nice big thunder showers in late October. So that would be really, really cool. Maybe even in September. It's so cool that we coming into another transition in terms of seasons. So we're moving from winter time into spring. And it's just that feeling that we get. I mean, the temperatures are starting to warm up already. It seems like it was a very, very short winter. And now I can't wait to start to see these new shoots that are growing on the trees. Maybe some of the fruits start to appear. Really cool. So here, this is some of the birds that are coming down to drink. It's a dove. There's actually two different species of dove there. A laughing dove and a Cape turtle dove. What else? We've got, I think, some starlings up on the tree ahead. So as we enjoy this bird life and see if there's anything coming down towards the water, I think we'll give it a few more minutes and then start heading back down towards the river.
We are enjoying some antelope life over there, some impala. Listening to a fork-tailed drongo, a Cape turtle dove, laughing dove, grey-headed sparrow, Boo in Arizona, you ain't the only one. I would also love to see Tingana today. I haven't seen him for so long. I was very worried about him when I left here last, but then somebody did see him and so he's fine. There's a little dove sitting up there on the tree nicely in the sun. Have you got him there? Was he behind sticks? Oh, he's gone, naturally. There's an emerald spotted wood dove. Subtle little orchestra playing. But very pleasant to sit and listen to.
WildEarth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the WildEarth family.
So not much has changed around this waterhole. We decided to give it just a few more minutes and just see it. And the reason being, I think it's just such a nice hot day that these animals know that it's going to get to the point where it's going to be too hot to move around, and so getting active nice and early is probably the best thing to do. And we heard some oxpeckers calling in the distance, so that could be incoming herds of impala, wildebeest, maybe some zebra, or even giraffe, I guess. And so one animal that we are hoping to, or I guess that we haven't seen in a while, that I'd really love to see again is a really nice big herd of buffaloes. And last season this seemed to be a really good place to come and look for buffaloes at this time of year. And in the late winter afternoons, when we would drive to this area, you'd almost expect to see in the distance this huge big dust cloud as these buffaloes disturb the earth when they come down to drink. And if you timed it right, you could sit at this waterhole and you could have potentially between 200 and 300 buffaloes in the water drinking around you. And I'm surprised we haven't seen as many buffaloes as we did last season. It might be worth, I don't know, I'd love to see if we can try and find a nice big herd of buffalo. Maybe that could be one of our missions either today or tomorrow. See if we can head into the southern part of the reserve and see if there's any buffaloes there. We have got the odd bull every now and again who's down by the Timbavati River. Shudulu fans, so spring officially in the southern hemisphere starts on the 1st of September. And so it's literally just around the corner. We've got another 3 weeks of August and then it's springtime. I think, when we... Oh, there we go. So that's one of the birds that was making all of that noise a bit earlier on. A magpie shrike. That super long tail must be very, very challenging to fly in windy conditions like this. And you see, as he landed, he had to turn and face into the wind. So he wasn't getting caught in the crosswind at all. So when there's one magpie shrike, there's almost always a few others. And so they've actually just a little bit further down, almost where that one took off from, there on the left. They're scratching around in the grass there. So I can see 3, there's probably more. He's giving us some nice views. So I think what we'll do is move on from here. Gert and I are quite keen to get to the river this morning and see if we can start our leopard search.
There we have got a magnificent little owlet, a pearl-spotted owlet. Isn't that great? Tiny little owl. Having the best time in the morning light and not being harassed by drongos, etc. And it is highly likely, of course, that if a drongo or other flock of birds was to spot this predator, they'd come and disturb his hitherto very peaceful morning. Yes, Critter Freak, it is very awesome. Although it's not doing a lot of awesome stuff at the moment. It's just enjoying the sun. And it's tiny. For those of you who haven't met this little owlet before, it's only about 8 inches long, if that. And it makes a lovely call. It's quite fun to make, but I won't make it because there's a group of guests in front of us, and they may take a dim view of it. Sometimes you can make them call back to you. Yeah, exactly, Megan. That's what makes them so very appealing, is that attitude on their faces. They look like the chicken hawk from the cartoons, those Looney Tunes cartoons. That's always what they remind me of. Sort of small and angry. They're about as vicious as a chicken hawk as well.
Good morning from a wonderful day out here, albeit a little bit chilly at Tswalu Kalahari. I'm saying it's such a wonderful day because we still have 5 ducklings. And you know what, it's so funny, like with David and myself, who's on camera there as always, my name's Dylan, is I can't wait to get to this dam. And I know we use it as a starting point quite frequently, but I can't wait to get here in the mornings to see how many of these ducklings are still around. And it's just like, you do get attached to these little things. Anyway, so I'm very, very pleased. I have a very special guest on today's drive. I can't promise he or she will make an appearance, and I'm not going to tell you who it is either. And I will tell you maybe where they live, or we'll even show you where they live, but I can't tell you who it is. So that's going to be quite exciting. We don't have any luck on the meerkats this morning. They might have shifted burrows, but our meerkat team is on to that, so I'm sure they'll give us feedback during the course, and even if we don't get them this morning, that's fine. But I'm very, very excited to introduce our new role player in this area. So, oh, look at the zebra. Sorry, guys, look at the zebra. Look at the zebra on top of that mountain there. Guys, look at this. Can you see it there? On that ridge. Sorry guys, this is really cool. Look at that. Hey, that is just, apart from the ducklings, that's just made my morning, man. How cool is that? So that's a Hartman's mountain zebra, and he's actually just probably going to be getting a little bit of sunlight there probably in the next 20 minutes or so. It's quite a cold morning this morning. There's a little bit of a breeze blowing. Not bad. It's not like freezing cold. But there's some really, really very high level cloud. This is probably sitting, I don't know, 5-6 kilometers up. Super high cloud. So it's a bit chilly. But what a morning. And there's 5 ducklings. That just makes it all worth it. Talina says she's impressed with my eyes. Thank you, that is way too kind. My eyes are wearing thin. But they've still got a lot to see. A lot to see. But just what a gorgeous morning it is out here. And if I can't see, I'll just use my hands to find animals in. At some point. No, this is it's just good being out, eh? And it's great having you all with. Ask your questions, talk to us. Anything. Noel has asked, do these zebras have white bellies? Exactly. So there's a couple of different zebra species and subspecies. This particular one, the Hartman's mountain zebra, has got white bellies, and it's got no what we call shadow stripes. So you know, on what we call the plain zebra and further north Birchall zebra, is you got the black and the white, or the white on the black, either way. But then on the white, you got what we call a shadow stripe, these very, very faint brown stripes. These ones don't have that as well. And also the stripe pattern is different. They've got a dewlap. They're actually quite different looking animals as well. But he's just enjoying the mountainside. The ducks are enjoying the water. I'm just enjoying everything. And it is fantastic that you're all with us to enjoy it alongside us. And if you snuggled up in bed with a coffee or wherever you are, just it's great that you can be along with us. But yeah, so what, we're going to have our guest appearance later. I can't promise. He said to me yesterday that he might join us or not. Philip has asked, do the mountain zebra, that's beautiful. We're going to go back while we're on the topic of mountain zebra. Look at that image there. So the question Philip has also asked is, do mountain zebra live exclusively in mountains, yes or no? And probably, I'd say probably in our area, and again, I will always refer to the area that we have the frame of reference for. That's a gorgeous image, eh? That is just killer. Look at it. Yes, so I will refer to our area, that they're probably spending 85 to 90% of their time up in the mountains. They come down every night to drink water. So they are water dependent. So they're not getting any water up there. They're actually doing the majority of their feeding up there and then coming down in the evenings to drink. And then they'll go back to the mountains. You do occasionally get them on the plains, down the bottom, but normally it's up in the mountains. And I just wanted to highlight what I said over there. Why I say I always make sure I refer to the area that you got your frame of reference is because I don't like it when people generalize, because you say, well, but the books say X, Y, Z. So much of the work that's been done or that gets published in literature are based on a handful of studies in one or two spots. To say a leopard does X, Y, Z is that's just based on people's individual observations. It's not to say that's what all leopards do. Or mountain zebra, or a cockroach in your kitchen, or for those who have cockroaches in your kitchen, they're actually quite cool little animals, by the way. I used to have 3, and we named them Eeny, Meeny, and Miny.
Here we are looking at a puddle, pan, muddy depression, and what we are doing is hoping to see the painted snipe which has been in this vicinity. Now I will let you know that Lauren has managed to get herself into a sighting of Tiani the leopardess and her cub and the kill. Unfortunately, she has no signal currently because she's on the very far end of Simbambili. So I'm just letting you know that if you don't see her, that's why you're not seeing her. And she's going to do her very best to find a drip or drop of signal there so that you can enjoy that leopard with her. So she's not driving around indolent. I don't see any painted snipe here and hereabouts. I'm sorry, I didn't know whether I should give you that news or not, and then I thought, well, yes, I probably should, because although you might not see her, it's always nice to know what's going on in the reserve, right? I think so. Stulefan, my favourite season in the bush. I don't really have one. I enjoy this particular season for its colours and for the fact that the game is starting to concentrate around the waterholes. I enjoy the summer for the greenery and the excitement of the storms in the afternoon and the baby antelope. I enjoy the winter for the coolth and those long lovely days, and I enjoy the autumn time for the temperature, best weather at in this part of the world. So it really does depend. No painted snipe, in fact just a lot of gunk and one fairly irritated blacksmith lapwing. And some other birds. Mainly grey-headed sparrows. A couple of waxbills. Also hear a pearl-spotted owl in the distance, not the same one that we had. Chin spot batis. Many of you discussing Tiani, you don't know who she is. Tiani is the daughter of a leopard called Salayeshe, and for a long time was thought to be the daughter of the Anderson male, because the Anderson male, who was a very big fellow, occupied the area in which Salayeshe found herself. But what is very funny is that after the dung DNA test that they did on Tiani, it was found that actually she contained the DNA of none other than the Duke of Djuma himself, Tingana. He was obviously quite sneaky, or Salayeshe was quite sneaky and going off to have a tryst with him. Salayeshe has since shuffled off this mortal coil, and so Tiani's pretty much taken up her territory, and she has had a baby with Hukumuri, I think. Hukumuri pretty much replaced the Anderson male in his territory when he unexpectedly suddenly declined in health and also shuffled off this mortal coil. And that's right around Simbambili Lodge, so on the far western end of Simbambili. Oh, Alana, Tingana, I think, is one of the cleverest leopards I've ever come across. He is a very considered fellow. Takes no risks, took no risks, and yes, I think he probably fathered many more cubs than we know about. Who knows, he might still. It most likely wasn't him that was getting around, though. It was Salayeshe coming out of her territory when she came into Estrus. Unless somebody collected the wrong dung, of course, and it wasn't Tiani's dung. But it was quite funny because everybody said that Tiani looked exactly like the Anderson male. And I've always said, look, I'm not sure that you can tell whether leopards look like each other or not. Despite the fact that I have done it myself. I've said, Kuchava looks like Tundi. And then it turned out that apparently you really can't, because Tiani is the offspring of Tingana. Well, I think that we've probably enjoyed this pile of gunk and swamp for long enough. What do you think? I mean, I think you've been very creative, Theo. I think that you've done a very good job of trying to make do with what I gave you. We're going to go off now to the east, back towards Chitwa, and see what's going on there.
So we've moved away from that waterhole, and we now, if you just look at the vegetation around us, this nice dense riverine area. And so the Timbavati River is now off to the left of us. And we've decided to come down into this area because we got a call from a few of the staff members in the tented camp, which is basically straight ahead of us now, saying that they heard lots of baboons going ballistic. So we came to try and investigate to see what they were so worried about. And we're only moving into the area now, so we haven't seen the baboons yet, we haven't heard them. But when they go crazy and they start alarm calling like that, always suspect that there is a predator around. And within this area, because it's nice and dense, and because we know that that big pride of lions has moved away, we suspect it could be a leopard. And the tricky thing sometimes, especially if a leopard has been spotted by baboons, is that they run away. So Sam, you're asking the most common bird of prey, I think. In terms of eagles, the one that we see throughout the whole year is a tawny eagle. We see that a lot. Otherwise, we get the small little raptors that are also here all year, but they're a lot trickier to see. They're quite shy. They move very, very quickly, and you don't get to see them too often. So tawny eagle, I would say, is a pretty good guess for the most common one that we see. It's quite an exciting time of year because not only are we welcoming spring, but with that we're welcoming a lot of the migratory birds that have started moving away from the north of the earth down into this region. And if I'm not mistaken, Djuma's already got the first yellow-billed kite for the season. So we're on the lookout for the next migratory bird, and we're wondering which one it will be. So I'd love to know if anyone in Europe is starting to experience and starting to see that there's less and less of the birds. Things like the barn swallows, European rollers, all of the swifts, little swifts. It'll be interesting to see if they already started to leave. Because I mean, some of those birds will take between 60 to 90 days to go from the top of Europe all the way down to the tip of Africa. And so I mentioned yellow-billed kite, we get lesser spotted eagle. One of the rare eagles that we find around this area in the summertime is a steppe eagle. We don't get to see them too often, but it's one of the biggest migratory eagles that we find. And just looking at those spur fowls, the Natal spur fowls on the ground, reminds me of another raptor that we get here called an African hawk eagle that we see around here a lot. And birds like this is the prey that they're after. And those African hawk eagles will hunt in pairs actually, so you not only see one, you'll see two of them together. And one will fly quite low down, and they'll hope to try and flush these birds up into the sky. And when they're up in the sky like that, they become quite easy targets. And one bird will just dive bomb who's basically been hiding high up in the sky. And they'll try and catch a bird like this. So this Natal spurfowl seems to be foraging through the grass there. They're very close. Okay, so lots of people are saying there's still barn swallows around. That's good to know. They must be, I'm sure they're on their way down. Oh, that's good to know. So there are barn swallows that are still in Europe. I'm sure they'll start moving anytime soon. It's incredible the different types of birds that we get to see. I mean, from those really big eagles you would expect you could cover those distances quite nicely with those nice long wingspans, to little birds that are a fraction of the size of this spurfowl. So things like a willow warbler might be about, I guess it's 9 or 10 centimeters tall, and that goes from all the way sometimes up into Siberia, down the whole of Africa into South Africa. I just think the distance that has to cover is remarkable. So there seems to be two slightly different colors within these spur fowls that we're seeing. So there's that one that we've got in full view. And it doesn't look like the colors are popping quite as much as the one behind it. So it looks like it's an adult with a juvenile. And that chick looks pretty much almost fully developed now. Ooh, I can hear a lion calling far away. Yeah, so we've just heard that lion calling coming very, very far away to the west of us. So maybe that's something that we can go and investigate after we look for this leopard quickly.
WildEarth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the WildEarth family.
To you today. He's going to be out a little bit later. And so we're going to, at 8:30, we can't be late for this. Because he said to me, listen, if we're not there at 8:30 sharp, he's probably not going to come out. So we need to be there at 8:30. It's a bit of a stakeout. It's going to be super cool, super fun. And I really, really, really hope that we can show you who this is. And I'm not going to give it away at all. I'm not even going to give you a clue who we're going to be looking for. But it'll be quite cool. So in the meantime, we're just going to amble down the road. It is actually freezing cold, eh? Like, not the ambient temperature, but just this, well, actually, sorry, the ambient temperature, but it's going to warm up very, very quickly. The sun's out nicely now. But yeah, we're going to just amble down, see if we can pick up those goshawks again. I'm determined to find you those goshawks, and it's just a matter of doing the legwork in the hours, eh? So, but we'll get them.
Waterbuck having a graze here. There's a nice little one there. I think we've got a decent view of him. There we are. Unfortunately in amongst a lot of sticks. That is the other thing about this time of the year, is that it is stick time. Not sure why it is at this time of the year we seem to see more sticks than we do at other times of the year. Probably because there are so many fewer leaves. A really kind of peaceful feeling to this morning. Very pleasant indeed. Yes, Veronica, I know exactly what you mean. The look of a waterbuck makes you feel like you want to grab them and give them a great big hug. Maybe not the bulls with their rapier horns, but certainly the babies and the cows. Youngsters look like little donkeys to me. They are not vaguely closely related to donkeys, of course. Just going to shift you a little bit forward. Theo, I think this little group in front might be a slightly better option. How's that? There we go. You can hear Drongo going. That is remarkable. I suspect it's trying to imitate something, but I don't know what. Yes, maybe that's right. Maybe it's the radios on the cars that are beeping. I think it's probably a francolin, you know. Yeah, it is. It's half a crested francolin call. Yeah, JT, it does sound like a robot. And you'll read that Drongos are great mimics of other birds. I think they're very poor. They try very hard, but they're not very good at it. They're a little bit like... they're a little bit like the... some of, what should we say, the popular music stars of today, where the bigger the noise they make, the better everybody thinks they are. But in actual fact, they're not that good when you look deep down into it. We'll let him call once more, and then we'll carry on. Naturally, he's now not going to call anymore. JT, birds mimic other birds largely for two reasons, we think. One is to make their territories sound full. I don't particularly buy that theory because I don't think that foreign birds are unable to tell whether they're being mimicked or not. But it seems to have developed also probably as a sexually selective thing, where certainly in the robins, the males that can do the most imitations of other birds tend to get the most mates. I'm not sure why that should be the case, other than purely for sexual selection. So it's just something that has now developed into a sexually selective trait and has amplified. All right, let's move on. Go down towards the river, not the river, the water at Chitwa. See what's happening there. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
So, we haven't heard that male or that lion calling again, but we are still slowly heading in that direction. And as we were doing so, we passed by the troop of baboons who were walking in the riverbed, and they were basically walking around up to no good. So whatever threat or whatever disturbed them has probably moved off at quite a haste. And if it was a leopard, I mean, they really don't like being spotted, especially by baboons. And if they stick around, these baboons can actively chase after a leopard. And so they would just, as soon as the baboon started alarm calling and causing a fuss, to try and avoid the confrontation with the big males, he would have probably ducked away, that if it is a young male leopard. And so we're slowly but surely heading back into the area where we heard those lions calling. We've got a small herd of Impala here, with a lone wildebeest. And these Impalas also looking very relaxed. So whatever was potentially around is no longer here. And it's so interesting to see that this wildebeest is right in the middle of the herd. And this is quite a common sight in this area. If he's by himself, it's so much harder to pay attention to everything around him. So to associate with an animal who's got many more eyes and ears in a big group like this makes it safer for him to be around. So when we're looking for things like this lion, looking at other animals' behaviors is very important to decide where we should be going, or if they've spotted something, then we know what's going on. I mean, that's exactly it. Sacrifice one wildebeest to save the rest of your species, I think, is their thought process. But it's interesting, I mean, because I'm going to carry on from here. Like I say, they're all pretty relaxed, and I'd like to get into that area where that lion was calling a bit earlier. But because they're not really competing over food or resources, they tolerate one another a lot. And so you'll see nice big groups of animals, especially along these sections where you'll see wildebeest together, impalas together, sometimes even zebra will be in there too. And just the more eyes, the more noses, the more ears, the merrier. So just a quick little stop and a scan down the river over here. So James, there haven't been any updates on the Ngala female, and I was actually mentioning to Gert that we've got a female leopard in the east where we started this morning, who's proving to be quite a challenging one to find recently. I think Yapi about a week ago saw the Ngala female's cub moving down the road by itself, but that's the last we've seen of her. Just wanted to stop here just to show you what the river looks like from a slightly higher advantage point. And it is just such a beautiful view, and it's the exact river. You can see the jeep tracks that we use to drive along. It's just so nice to stop and just look down the river. So one of those things that we were mentioning a bit earlier about the springtime is the potential of rain. And when the rain comes, this is one of the best places to watch the river flow.
What a sighting. Aside from giraffe, just in terms of photography and videography, whatever you want to call it, to get that backlighting with it's actually kind of like slash side lighting with that dark background is always one of my absolute favorite things. There's a big bull giraffe. And that tree that he's feeding on is probably one of the most important ones. Well, not probably. I'd say it is one of the most important ones in these areas. Those are the shepherd's trees, evergreen and highly nutritious. And I'm getting so excited. We saw a little butterfly yesterday called an Eller's bar. An Eller's bar. ELLAS BAR. Eller's bar. And it was a perfect specimen. It wasn't on camera, it was just one that I noticed flitting around. But this little butterfly, that was in immaculate condition, which means they're starting to hatch now. And why I'm getting excited about that is this tree that this giraffe is feeding on is actually a host plant for at least 8 different species of what they call the period butterflies, the whites. And very soon we're going to have huge numbers of butterflies. We've actually got an incredibly good researcher here. All of our researchers are good, but one guy in particular who works on butterflies, Renita Blanche, amazing guy, and he's actually looking at the whole butterfly migrations. So we've got a species here called the brown-veined white, and that the larval host plant is this tree, and it just covers this area in their millions. So that's something to look forward to.
Welcome back everybody to andBeyond Phinda, where we found this lioness who I think is on the hunt. She's on the move. Off to our right hand side, which you might not be able to see in picture, are a couple of zebra, and I think there might be 1 or 2 wildebeest with them. off to the left-hand side, I don't know if they've sounded the alarm bells already, are a couple of impala who are snorting away. But you can see this lion's very intent and very focused on that small group of zebra off to her right-hand side. So we might be in for a little bit of action this morning. Let's hold thumbs. You see her walking along the road, path of least resistance for her. And as she disappears there into the grass, it's going to be very tricky for the zebra to spot her from such a distance. It is still quite a bit of a way between her and the zebra, but we'll keep up with her and see if we don't come across something exciting this morning. No. Carry on. It is interesting that she's by herself, because she is from a pride of other lionesses. It looked like she was lactating a bit, quite a heavy underbelly, so that might mean she's got youngsters somewhere tucked away. And we know one of the lionesses in this particular area has 2 very small youngsters, which would be the reason she's probably stashed them away, and now she's off to hunt this morning. So we will keep up with her. You'll see that other vehicle is following her at the moment. We're going to keep up with her and see where she decides to go. If she's not hunting, she might lead us to where she's kept her youngsters. Perhaps already she's been successful in a hunt this morning, and she's killed maybe whatever it is, and she's stashed it, and now she's gone to collect her youngsters, which is also quite exciting. But by the looks of things, this vehicle here in front of us has stopped, and she might have... she's still walking along the road up ahead of us. Sadly, I think the zebra off to our right-hand side have spotted her walking along the road. If she did have intentions, I don't think she'd be walking along the road, intentions of hunting. She's not crouching down, not sort of pinning her ears back, getting low to the ground. We're going to carry on following this lioness, myself and Craig, see if perhaps she does lead us to her youngsters.
WildEarth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the WildEarth family.
That's exciting. We're approaching the Waterhole at Chitwa now. Hopefully we'll have some interesting animals to show you there. And then we'll head probably back off towards Djuma. Just quickly going past the landowner's house. Magnificent pad he's got in the shade. It's especially lovely in the summer. You're going to lose signal for 1 second. Should be back now. Here we have got a hippopotamus, very restful, as have all the animals been today. Everyone is very relaxed on this lovely Wednesday morning. You can hear some Egyptian geese shouting in the background. They are never relaxed. They're always shouting at each other. Great belly aches. Always. But otherwise, all is calm and peaceful. What a lovely name. Beautiful Twitter handle, runs with the zombies. Well, runs with the zombies. Yes, there are, as far as we know, 2 crocodiles in this particular waterhole. But remember that a crocodile can move over land, and we've seen them do that, and we know that they can move from waterhole to waterhole, so although we only normally see 2 crocodiles, and they're normally in this waterhole, it doesn't mean that any other water body doesn't have crocodiles in it. And the quickest way to find that out is to have a swim in the water and see if you emerge after your swim with all your limbs intact. If you don't, you know that there are crocodiles where you thought there were not. This has happened to a number of people. And it is my firm belief that in the interior of South Africa, people don't swim by nature simply because there are crocodiles, and it's such a risk.
I hope you're all having the most wonderful morning. I have had probably one of the best, and I'm absolutely heartbroken that I couldn't share it to you. I'm very sorry, everyone. I was with Miss Tiani, the female leopard, and her cub. Now, Tiani never crosses our western boundary into Djuma. She's been on my bucket list for a very long time. She's stunning. Sadly, I can't show you a picture, but you can Google her. She's got her own Facebook page, and you can see what she looks like, because she is the offspring of Mr. Tingana, everyone, our Duke of Djuma. He is the father, confirmed by Panthera DNA, and Salexe is her mother. So Tiani actually means strong one. And she was born in May 2015, which makes her 5 now, just a little over 5. So she's in her prime, and we actually saw her with her cub. They've got a kill up a tree. We couldn't really see the kill, so I really don't know what it was. I imagine an antelope of some sort. And her cub is now around 18 months. So what that means is she'll slowly start to be reaching independence and spending more and more time away from her mother. The cub is called Inzutini, a beautiful name, and it's a girl. So Tiani will be at the stage in her life where she needs to make space for her daughter. She will need to sort of readjust her territory, move slightly in order to give a section of it to her daughter. So I'm sorry we were missing for so long, but that's where we were. I am heartbroken, everyone, but I'm going to try and see if there's some sort of magical solution that we can show you later on. Yes, it was my dream to show you all Tiani. I've been talking about this for a really long time. I want to show Tiani to the viewers, and it just didn't work out, I'm afraid. But we are looking at some wonderful zebra. We saw a mate. I can hear a woodpecker somewhere as well. I can't see it though. And there was a mating attempt earlier. We had a stallion jump on a mare, but I think it was maybe a half-hearted attempt, as it seems to have completely died down. But the actual statistics for zebra in the Kruger National Park with regards to lions is that zebra make up about 16% of a lion's diet within the Kruger National Park. Now, I don't know if that applies all across Africa and areas such as Serengeti and Masai Mara, but here in this area, 16%, almost a fifth. Okay, we're going to make our way slowly out of Simbambili and see what else we can find.
Welcome back, everybody. Just catching the back end of this lioness as she disappears into quite a thick area. But we're going to see if we can stick with her still hoping that she's on the hunt. There's a lot around here for her to choose from. We've just seen some Ngala off to our right. There were a whole lot of kudu as we drove in, and then baboons, which would, if they sound the alarm, would sadly be game over for her. And you saw now just in front of us.
Okay, so our special guest is inside this tree that we're looking at over here. This big camel thorn tree over here, this is where he's going to come out. Well, we don't know if he'll come out. He said he may or may not, depending on how he feels this morning. And he's really, really, really special. When I say he, it actually could be a he, she. I have no idea which sex it is. So we're just going to have to bite the bullet and see. But it's going to be super, super, super exciting. And I just wanted to show you his residence for now. So that tree, we had a quick segment on it, a really fun segment on an old camel thorn tree yesterday with the hollows in it, the big holes in it. This tree is the same. It's actually completely hollow on the inside. So it can actually be home to a whole range of things, from snakes to genets to, I don't know, bees, whatever. But this particular tree is home to someone else, and I'm not going to reveal it, but it's going to be, if he decides to make an appearance, it is going to be super, super, super cool. I'm really holding thumbs. And we can't move from here, because if we move from here, I don't want to miss it. And if we move from here, there's a strong likelihood that we will miss it. Neva has also, is this the surprise? Yep. Well, the surprise is in there. Kind of think of it like a giant cracker, because you have no idea what's inside. What's inside? But inside there is definitely someone. There's a yellow canary on the top right over there. Sorry, have a look at this beautiful bird here. It's a bit of a difficult one. Just say when you got it, David. That's a yellow canary. Peter says you wonder if it's an art wolf there. I wish, Peter, I wish. But trust me, this is going to be as cool as an art wolf. In some ways even cooler. But that's a yellow canary male. Look how beautiful and bright those colors are. Stunning little birds. The females aren't as colorful, but it's these males that use this for advertising their territory. These super, super, super bright, like lemon yellow colors. It's only one of two canaries that we get to. The other one is a black-throated canary, a tiny little bird. It's quite a bit smaller than this one. But yeah, so I hope you stick with us now. Well, when I say stick with us for the rest of the drive, I need to be at this tree. We can't disappear, because if we do and we come back and he's like made an appearance, he might come out and then disappear again. So I think I'm going to take the chance, take the risk, and just rather just sit and wait. Just because I just like sitting and waiting. You guys can keep guessing. Yeah, you're welcome to keep guessing. I will not be suckered into revealing it. I will not succumb to peer pressure. Although the temptation is there, but no, I won't. Okay, I'll tell you what it is. It is, so what's inside this tree is no, I'm just kidding, I won't do that. I'll give you a clue. It has feathers. That's the clue. Okay, it has feathers.
Welcome back, everybody, to andBeyond Phinda. This lioness has literally just missed a herd of kudu who saw her, I think, in the nick of time, started barking and then headed for the hills. A couple of Impalas still left in front of us, but they too are busy alarming as we speak. So we're still going to keep up with this lioness. Very opportunistic. And you'll see another one of the vehicles up ahead of us trying to loop ahead. But maybe something's not as aware as everything else. Be it one of the impala with their heads down, browsing, grazing. And we might still be in for some luck. If you have a look in front of us, some impala are running in her direction. But I think if she was more interested in hunting, she'd be putting in a little bit more effort than what she is. She's very focused. She's put her head down since we found her, and she's been beelining it for these mountains here on the left-hand side. So one can then only hope that it's her youngsters that she's going to go find now. I'm not sure if you can hear that in the background with the impala alarming. And they'll keep alarming until this lioness is out of sight and out of mind for them. Yeah, it's quite an interesting picture. Behind her are more impala sounding the alarm that you can probably see in picture coming up. She's walked across from them, keeps looking back over her shoulder at them, but yeah, like I said, not particularly interested this morning in these impala who are very fixed on her at the moment. Kelly very much so, indeed a woman on a mission, and if I'm not mistaken, there is a watering hole in the direction that she's going, so let's loop around to where she's going. Maybe a woman on a mission for a drink of water this morning. Kelly, we'll keep looking. It would be quite nice to see this lioness drinking this morning. And she's been walking quite a distance from where we first found her.
Now, I've been tracking this leopard the whole morning, and, you know, through my extreme skill and amazing fortitude, I've managed to track her down. There she is, Tswalu the leopard, all thanks to my amazing skills. I am, of course, lying. All I did was listen to the radio and pitch up here, and there we have a leopardess, which is great. That is Tswalu the leopardess. And, well, my certainly least favourably named leopard. I think anyone who calls a leopard termite mound deserves to have their head read. But there it is. And she's just having a nice rest in the shade. And I'm not sure she'll move a great deal more than she has already today, but what is so nice about her is that she's quite a busy cat. So she does tend to get up and move around even in the middle of the day, which is super. Also wondering if we wouldn't get a better view from the other side, but what we're going to do is just wait here for 5 minutes and see what happens. Now, if you haven't met Tswalu before, she is a large female that occupies the western sector of Djuma and a little bit south of our boundary, and a little bit west of our boundary as well. Many of you saying how much you love Tswalu. She's amazingly photogenic as well, I find. When I look at my humble collection of leopard photographs, I do find the ones of her to be particularly striking. Her ears are looking a bit tatty. I don't think any more tatty than I've seen them before. Hello, Shadulu. Would you like to get up and come and see us? We'll wait and see if she does.
WildEarth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the WildEarth family.
So unfortunately we've not came across anything else on Simbambili as of yet. I am making my way out again. But I forgot to tell you earlier where we found Tiani. Sitting on the spa deck. I think she was waiting for a little treatment, but the spa was not yet open. Maybe she needs her back cracked or she's got some tension. But yes, Simbambili Spa, she's sitting on the deck. And the kill's in a tree right on the Simbambili Spa roof. So yes, it's a very entertaining sight to see two leopards jumping around the spa. But we are heading back east now. We are heading out of this property just very slowly. No update on those dogs. I've not heard any tracks called in or any movement or any audio. I don't quite know where they went. They'll be somewhere, of course. I'm just not sure where. Okay, very soon I shall be back on Djuma, see what we can find.
I feel like it would be kind of her to move into a slightly more convenient position. There we go, come on. That's it, my dear. Up you get. Come and say hi. No word on the dogs this morning, by the way, which is irritating. Big pack of dogs. There are 10 puppies. She's just looking towards where I can hear a woodpecker going peckety peck, peck, peckety peck, peck. I think that's what's clicking away. Yes, it's a stick blowing against a tree. And all you can hear, of course, is because as the heat builds, so this northwest August wind will gather momentum and strength. Me like she's looking towards the north. There isn't something in there that she was stalking. Not as far as I know, Sharon. I I don't know if Shadulu's father has been confirmed. As far as I know. Yeah, look, at least her head is not completely down and flat asleep, so I think it's definitely worth hanging around here and waiting to see. And like I say, she can be quite a busy cat. So we'll wait and sit in this gentle breeze and see if this cat gets up.
Yeah, so we're not going to go anywhere. We're just going to say, I'm going to talk very, very softly as well. Because as our little feathered friend is close to emerging, I want to be as quiet as possible. So this is really just a waiting game now. The wind is in our favour. It's coming from the left-hand side of the vehicle, moving across to the right. So it's coming from this side here, moving across our front like that. So hopefully he won't pick us up. I would have preferred to be even 10 yards further back, but the bush won't allow for it.
Welcome back, everybody. This lioness, I'm not sure if she knows, but has linked up with a male lion on the right-hand side who's very tentatively creeping up to her. Have a look how quietly he places his paws. I think, no, he's blown his cover. We thought from the start that her intentions were never to hunt, but we might see something else here. Might see something else. It's very interesting interaction. Sizing one another up, you see. Might have seen a little bit of urine now from her. He might go and smell that and do what Damon saw yesterday with the zebra, what they call a phlegm and grimace. Do you see maybe she's now in estrus and ready to mate? But very exciting to see. It didn't, her hunting this, trying his luck to sneak up, but I think she knew long before what was going on and knew he was there. Have a look now, he's got his head down sniffing that urine. See if he looks back, and it almost looks like he's smiling at us. Like we all are. I think he is doing it, he's just facing the wrong way. Have a look there. See what he's doing, he's lifting his teeth now, trying to process all that information that she's just given off. He's doing it again. I'm sorry he's doing it the other way, because it actually looks quite funny to see a lion smiling. But he too is starting to heat up quite a bit now. Too much to settle down. I don't know if you can hear in the background those Impala who are still sounding the alarm for these two. He must have just been settled up here all morning. Someone said they could hear a lion this morning. I'm not sure if that was him who was. And like we said just now, those Impala are not going to keep quiet until these two are either unconscious sleeping or completely out of sight and out of mind. Be interesting to see what it does. And you might, he's just going to lie down right there. Might see if we can't get a better position just now. But like I said, yeah, it is starting to heat up. These two maybe starting to settle down for the morning. A little bit of a breeze picking up now as well. But perhaps, on the contrary, like we said, she's not, or she wasn't looking to hunt. Really, there were things that were running straight past her, and she wasn't really putting in as much effort as you'd think she would if she was hunting. But with these two having met up now, they could very well be mating, which would also be quite a spectacle to witness. Very beautiful male lion, this big dark black mane, and now she's up and on the move again. You'll probably hear those Impala a little bit more off to our right hand side, but where she goes, he'll most probably follow. Still a bit of a phlegm and grimace coming from that male lion. He's lying down watching as that lioness moves further up this hillside. American woman, she is perhaps playing hard to get. Maybe she just hasn't come into estrus just yet. Often it's the females that will sort of pay a little bit more attention to the male if they are rub their heads up against one another and present herself to him, but not the case today. Like you said, playing hard to get. She's up and off, and he no doubt will probably get up and follow her.
Sorry about that, everyone. Shidulu is still there, and she's with Chris, who's a private guide at Djuma. We're just following up here. That sound that I said was a woodpecker is not a woodpecker. It started to sound like something crunching, and she's got up and moved, and she's looking down towards this area. And from where I was sitting, I thought that there was a crunching sound coming from underneath this tree here. It's either that, or it's the wind playing tricks with us. Let's do a little drive through here. Let's just listen. See if we can hear it again. It was kind of a... It sounded too fast for chewing. It was a sort of chick, 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 chick. Almost like it was like it could have been something chewing, but may also have been a branch blowing against another branch or something like that. But Shidulu then got as interested in it as I was. Let's drive along here because the leopard's in this direction. And Shidu's father was in fact the Anderson male, and that has been confirmed. So I think don't know if you heard me say that, but James Richards has confirmed Shidu's father was the Anderson male, and that was confirmed by Panthera. Lovely shot of her through there. See? So she's just moving around. Obviously thinks she can hear something, but I can't hear that noise anymore. No, X-Ranger, there isn't a lock or closing down of the sighting when predators are hunting. What happens is that everyone is encouraged to be sensitive and sometimes would limit the number of people to it. And especially at night, what you'll find is that people will generally leave the cat alone. If it's a cat in stress, maybe a new mother or an old leopard, sick leopard, then maybe people would just leave her alone. What I tend to do is that at night especially, I will leave the animal be to hunt. We don't follow them with spotlights if they're hunting at night. And that's just the most sensitive way to do it. Copy, Chris, I couldn't find anything this side. I'll come around and see if I can pick her up again. She's just coming up this way. Sorry about that, Thea. You lost your head there. But you've got to be careful about it, X-Rang. It really is, for a long time we tried to pretend that we weren't affecting their behavior or, affecting the way they operate. That's just garbage, because there's no way something this size and this noisy can or could possibly not be affecting them. And a lot of these cats learn how to use the vehicles to hunt, and so far from being a disadvantage, in some instances it's an advantage to the predator and a disadvantage to the prey. So our presence definitely affects what happens in these situations, but it's impossible not to let it affect unless we were watching with a satellite. Can you see her at all? Just try and sneak in here. Oh, there she is. So we've got her now grazing. She's eating some grass, delicious. Thea, I think if I go just past this tree here, I think we'll get a nicer view. Sorry. There we go, that's better. Yo. Always nice to have a grazing cat. She's enjoying some green grass too. Cats do this, of course, to line the stomach, get a bit of roughage, help the digestion. It's obviously not unusual. Well, Nikki, she may have eaten some bad impala. Perhaps she ate a dodgy paella or something last night at the local fish restaurant. I've always been suspicious of eating fish in the Lowveld.
Welcome back everybody to andBeyond Phinda. To what you saw just now, probably a glimpse of that male lion out and about, or at least active for that fraction of the day that they are active. Now he's found himself in quite a comfy position. You see head flat on the ground, eyes closed. Every so often he peers over his shoulder to the area that we've just come from, where there was quite a bit of commotion, where those kudu and impala and the likes were, just to see if anything else hasn't come back into, or onto his menu, should I say rather. The lioness is a little bit further out of picture to the right hand side. She keeps on casting over to him, seeing what he's up to, but also in and out of consciousness. You'll see those eyes closing every so often, but again playing hard to get, keeping her distance and very wary of this male. Every now and again you might see a bit of an ear twitch from her, a couple of flies that are hovering around her, irritating her as they are irritating us on the vehicle this morning. But you see that little bit of a shut eye there, and back to sleep. He looks like he's in far more of a comfortable position. He's lying flat. It looks like he's out for the count, and that's probably where he'll be for the majority of the day. Lifting his head, she also just every so often peers up into the mountains. Those impala, I'm not too sure which direction they headed off in, but could still be looking if they're there. And she's on a little bit in front of her. You might notice quite a prominent game trail, maybe waiting for the perfect opportunity to ambush something this morning.
We've got a really cool scene of giraffe who seem to be very relaxed. They haven't moved from their spot at all, and they're just busy chewing and ruminating for the day. And it seems like, so there's two in frame, there's another one that's slightly off to the left, and then I think there is another one who's moved a bit further towards the right. So somewhere through the trees, you might just see the legs. There we go, there he is. Perfectly positioned directly behind a bush, just as giraffe can do. But it's quite an interesting dynamic here, because it's not a group of females like we would typically see. It looks like it's a group of young males. And those two in the middle there, if you just look at how thick those horns are, I mean, it's a pretty clear indication that they're males. And they all seem to be pretty much the same size, so they're not as big as a fully grown mature male, and so they're probably just young adults. And I suppose a little bit like those wildebeest and those impalas a bit earlier on, it's just easier and safer to stick around in a big group. Okay, when giraffes sleep, they sleep on their haunches, and the best way that I can try and explain it to you is if you've ever seen a camel sleeping, a giraffe does exactly the same thing. So they fold their limbs underneath them, and they sleep with their head standing up. In fact, that one in the middle, if we actually have a closer look at the front legs, so the knees, it's a really good example there, because you get to see the different color because of those dark legs. So you can really see where his knees have been worn down from lying down like that. So it's a very distinctive change in color. And so those will, the legs from there, so I guess his shins down to his ankles will be folded directly below him, and then his back legs will fit in somewhere there too. And for being such a tall animal, it takes quite a bit of effort for them to stand up. So they don't really sleep, especially when they're by themselves or too much. And the best place to do it is in the middle of an open clearing where they can see stuff coming from a distance. because they'll need to react very quickly, and getting up is quite laboursome. And so as they try to stand up, it will take a couple of seconds, and they rock back and forth, and then they'll stand up after about 2 seconds or so.
So he's still sitting here. The little guy hasn't come out yet, but I'm expecting him probably in the next half an hour. So we're just going to have to bite the bullet and stick with us. It's super exciting, and I hope it works. He's probably making coffee now as we're speaking. Or pancakes. Or coffee and pancakes. I don't know if there were any guesses as to what it is, but like I say, the clue is that it's got feathers. And that's the only clue I'll give you. Kerry says, is it a parrot? No, it's not a parrot. But that was a good guess. Oh, I love this kind of thing. Just these little stakeouts are so exciting and so much fun. And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Sassaman says it's an ostrich. No. But close. Oh my, this is going to be brilliant. If it works, it's going to be brilliant. Oh, Richard, you are so close. Richard says an African pied barbet. Very close, but no, it's not. Just be patient. Ooh. GM says, is it another shelduck? No, it's not, but also not a bad guess, And they do nest in holes, but normally underground. So this is in a tree, so it's a little bit different. Ah man, this is good. I'm enjoying this more by the minute. Hey, Kathy, so close. Kathy asked, is it a hornbill? It's not a hornbill. So near, yet so far. Where? Little Vixen has asked, is it bigger than a bread box? No, it'll fit inside a bread box. Depends what size your bread box is. Generically speaking, of course. This is going to be brilliant. This is going to be so good. Of course, it could backfire on me, and it doesn't even come out. But he said he would be here, so I'm... American woman asked, does this bird not like human voices? I just want to talk as softly as possible, because if we talk loudly, I'm worried that it just doesn't come out at all. So that's why I really want to keep the noise down to an absolute minimum. Like I say, the wind is in our favour, but I want to be as careful as possible. Kitty Bear says, is it an owl? Yes, but not quite. Very close. Oh my goodness, this is going to be good. So good. So good.
Welcome back everybody to andBeyond Phinda. That male has gotten a bit restless and he's gotten up, stretching the legs. I think he's just going to lie back down again. But didn't want to stalk that lioness again, who's lying she's in the same spot, a little bit down to the left of your screen. Craig will find her now also, but with her head down now. And I think that will be the two of them for the day. They might reshuffle every so often as the sun starts to get higher and higher, and as the temperature starts to rise. He's up again, looking back over his shoulder, just making sure that she's never too far from the providers in the family. But looking at her now, or at least at her belly, she looks relatively full. It doesn't look like she's particularly hungry, but ever opportunistic, still lying on that game trail we spoke about earlier. So if something does happen to come down from the mountains or the other way around, they could potentially look to hunt. Now that he's lying in that longer grass, is a little bit more camouflaged than she is, lying in the shade, that sun reflecting off his back. But I think they've both found their beds for the morning.
This leopard is almost flat cat as well. It's just got its head up. Heard some impala alarming. Or, no, not alarming, them fighting with each other. A little bit away, and so she lifted her head. And now she is having a bath.
James is viewers. Marie woman. Shigulu is related to who? Elsewhere.
Courtney, leopards live for potentially 18 years or so for the females and 15 for the males. That would be very unusually old though. So the average male lives to around about, well, an old male in this area is 13, and an old female would be 15 or 16 years old. The record apparently, and I think this is an unofficial record, but is 19 for Safari, who was Karula. So many of you won't know Karula, but Tandi's grandmother. And then there was an official record of an 18-year-old leopard at Londolozi. She was 18 when she died. So 18 or 19 would be very old. And then male leopard record in this area was for the Campan male of Londolozi again, who lived to 15 or so. I'm hoping sorely that Tingana is going to beat that record. He's doing all right so far, approaching his 14th birthday this December.
WildEarth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the WildEarth family.
And now she's just cleaning out what little bit of dirt there might be under her foot. Perhaps enjoying a little scrap or two from between her claws. I'm again grateful that I don't have to sup on what's under my nails. Well, not yet anyway. Times have not got that desperate. You can hear one or two flies buzzing past today. It feels much more spring-like than it's been for a while. And I think today's actually going to be the hottest day that we've had for a while. So a leopard like this is often going to settle for the rest of the day, but being Shadulu, it wouldn't surprise me if she moved, so I think we're going to stay right here. And the other interesting thing is that you'll read in guide books and in textbooks that leopards are nocturnal. In my experience, they move whenever they feel like moving. And whereas if we left a lioness here right now, we could come back here in the middle of the day and then later this afternoon and find her in virtually exactly the same place. You wouldn't expect to find this cat exactly where she is now if you came back here in the afternoon. So 50, I suppose Shadulu could be pregnant. I've not heard of her mating, but she might have mated. Tundi had 2 litters without us knowing that she'd mated. So it's possible that she's pregnant. It is the question probably most asked. Station on standby for Shadulu. Just move straight in. I'll move out. I don't know, but I'll move out when the next person gets here. Sorry, I'm just dealing with the radio.
We couldn't resist stopping and showing you this elephant, especially because it is World Elephant Day. And we've got a really nice, relaxed bull who's just by himself and he's slowly feeding around that termite mound. And he looks like he's almost half asleep. I mean, that's his eyes are half shut and he's just looking down on the ground, using his trunk to sniff out the best parts to feed on. See, it will be interesting to see what he decides to feed on. I love just watching what they decide to choose, whether it be grass or a small shrub. It's very cool. Sometimes when we get to track these elephant bulls on foot, to almost count the different species of plants that he's been feeding on as he's been walking. And sometimes you'll get upward of 7, 8, 9, even over 10 different species within the space of an hour and a half's walk. Let me back up a little bit. And he's quite interesting because it seems like he's got some moisture around his eye, and I don't think I've ever seen an elephant's eye wet like that. But what is he feeding on now? It looks like he's going for the grass at the moment. Yeah, mouthful of grass. It's very cool that we get to see this elephant bull, especially being World Elephant Day. So I hope he's enjoying his World Elephant Day. It looks like he is. Seems like he's just taking it easy this morning. And so far it's only been grass, which is quite unusual at this time of year. And we mostly say that they tend to feed on leaves and bark and other different things that are part of the trees at this time of year, because there's almost no nutrients in the grass. But in this area, I think because there's just lots of little shrubs, the grass has been able to grow nicely, and it hasn't really been browsed on by wildebeest or zebra or anything. So it's probably still quite nutritious. You see, that looks like a little shrub or a sedge or something that he's just fed on. So that's a slightly different species. Just now that the wind's changed, he's stopped and checked us out. It's probably the first time that he's really become aware of us. And now he is sniffing us. But he is walking away. So let me see if I can angle and we can watch him disappearing. Oopsie. That's a little tree. So I'm going to try and reposition it. It does look like if he moves any further, he will disappear into a dense area. And then from that point, we will continue on with our drive.
Hello and welcome to Masai Mara. Yes, my name is Isaac and on camera is Big James. And this morning we're here in the Mara Triangle, the beautiful Masai Mara. As you can see, there is nothing much, but I tell you, there's always something. You can see that we have the Balanites trees, and over there at the distance, it's the Olololo Syria escarpment. This is the westernmost wall of the Mara Game Reserve. From there onwards is a human habitated area, and it stretches down all the way down to the Serengeti, a place called the Gold Mountains. As you come down, that's where the Mara Triangle starts. As you can see where James is pointing there, that's where our studio is, just above, around that area. Yes, it's nice to have all of you. Remember, we're coming live and direct from the Masai Mara in the Mara Triangle, and it's been a long way to have you guys. As you can see, it's very dry. The wildebeest haven't reached here yet, but they're on their way. Yes, thank you for that comment. Yes, it's one of the most spectacular sceneries you can have in the world. From where I am, it's actually quite low, but I'm looking upwards, but you can still see how stunning it is. All those scattered trees, the desert dates. I'm sure they're hiding something inside them. There's always a leopard or a cheetah or a lion underneath them. but it's always very deceiving when you look and you think that, it's very empty. But 100%, if we were to continue and go through each one of them, you will definitely pick up, something. Yes, I'm staying here and taking my binoculars to see what I can find from a distance.
That is so exciting that we're back on in the Mara. That is fantastic news. I'm very, very happy about that. But going from that scenery to our scenery, we're just still sitting at this tree. We're not going anywhere. Please be patient. I've just got a report that there is a massive cold front approaching us very, very fast southwest of us, which is pretty much in the direction that the camera's facing now. I mentioned a day or two ago about that cold front coming up from Cape Town off the South Atlantic. That's what's hitting us now. So anyway, let's just be patient and hold thumbs and legs. Cross your legs, cross your thumbs, cross your arms, cross whatever you can. But we need to just bite the bullets and wait here. No, it's not the Mara, but that is so cool that the Mara's on again. Wow. Good news, very cool. And happy World Elephant Day today. For all you elephants out there. No, I'm not the bird, I promise you. I'm definitely not a bird. Nothing nearly as graceful as a bird. But the bird that's in here is going to be so cool, I promise you. But I can't tell you what species it is. But it's very cool. And you've only got a list of about 900 in Southern Africa to go through, so keep guessing. But yeah, happy Elephant Day to all you elephants out there. Oh, this is so cool, so exciting. Tammy asked, is it a scaly feathered finch? That is a very, very good guess, because they will often shelter in little hollows and that, and they'll actually cluster together. But normally, they won't do it in the hollow of a tree. It's normally even in other birds' nests. So no, it's not a scaly feathered finch, but good guess. Kelly's asked, is it a penguin? I think with this weather coming in, it could well be a penguin. Heidi has asked, is it a goshawk? No, it's not a goshawk. But while David and I are sitting here as well, we are still keeping our eyes open for the goshawks. Because this little guy that's in here can actually get eaten by a goshawk. So many riddles, so little time.
We've just had to leave Shidulu because 3 or 4 people have gone in there, but it looks like it's opening up again, so we'll go back and spend some time with her. In the meantime, what we'll do is have a look at these Impalas and maybe bump into an elephant. Except the elephant's going the other way. I believe the internet is now broken because everyone is so excited about the Mara. My jealousy at not being in the Mara is absolutely boundless right now, because it is just the best time of the year to be there. Oh, it's a great time of the year, any time to be there. But now, that carnival of life and exuberance and wonder has kicked off. And the fact that we are going to be able to witness it is just wonderful. And these young chaps are, well, oldish chaps, are nowhere near Shidulu, so they're relatively safe. Now you can tell their ages. Actually, that one there is approaching his 3rd birthday. You can see his horns have formed almost fully. And Marie, you say your head is still spinning with your surprise about the Mara. Well, I guarantee you it's not spinning nearly as much as it would be if you were actually in the midst of the migration herds. So hopefully you'll be able to do that one day. I'm truly trying to stop myself going green. It was around about this time last year that we were there, enjoying the carnival. So special. So special. Leave camp at 6 o'clock in the morning, come back at 7 o'clock that night and feel like you'd had the best, most tiring, most wonderful day. That's not to cast aspersions on you, Mr. Impala. I appreciate your presence here and the beauty that you give to our lives and the wilderness at large. It's just that the Mara at this time of the year, my friend, is something to behold.
So James is definitely not the only one who's jealous about not being in the Mara. We were discussing how awesome that place looks, so we'll definitely go and have a look to see what's going on there today. But we've got this very cool giraffe who's very relaxed around us. We haven't parked that far at all from him. And for a moment he was feeding on the tree that's directly behind him. But now, yeah, there we go. So this is exactly what I was hoping, is to see him feeding. And that's so cool because the tree's so close. We hopefully will get quite nice views of him. But if you just look at the tree, I mean, it's a typical Vachelia tree or an acacia tree. And all of those white little spikes there are very, very sharp thorns designed to protect the tree from something like this giraffe. But I think in terms of the evolutionary battle, I think the giraffe at the moment has got the upper hand, because look at how light work he makes feeding through these little thorn clumps and bushes. He makes it very, very easy. Not only using his tongue, but also using his lips to move in and amongst these thorns. Yeah, so a very, very dark giraffe. He's almost black, especially around his torso. Those patches are very, very dark. There's one or two that are slightly browner in color, but overall, he's got such a dark appearance. And I mean, to compare him to the 2 or the 3 or 4 other giraffe we saw a little bit earlier on, he is firstly darker, taller, which means that he's older. And so, I mean, it tends to happen that a giraffe will get older or get darker as they get older, especially in males. So he's going to walk straight across the road in front of us, hopefully. Look at on that back, he looks like he's got a scar. So George, oh, that's a very big scar that he's got. Looks like it's completely recovered now, so whatever it was old. So George, a giraffe, if it has the option, will drink at least once a day. And so they like to go down towards the waterhole, and they'll only really drink once because of the risk that they take in bending forward like that. And so if he were to go and have something to drink, he would probably have to cover about maybe 4 or 5 kilometers to get to the waterhole today, in the direction that he's facing, which is west. So you never know, he might have come from a slightly different waterhole a bit earlier on, or he's on his way there feeding slowly but surely. And I wonder what that scar is, and it's situated in such a way that it doesn't look like it will be from a fight or from a lion jumping on his back and creating an open wound. I think that's caused from a parasite, and that little parasite will live in the giraffe's tissue and skin, and when it's ready to move hosts, it comes and breaks the surface of the skin. And so sometimes you'll see it really big and open, and sometimes it's because of those little 2 birds that are there, those oxpeckers. And those oxpeckers will actually aggravate and keep the wound open because they're after the blood of the giraffe. And so they don't only feed on the ticks, but the main reason as to why they feed on the ticks is because the ticks are filled with blood. And so sometimes they'll go and aggravate and keep that wound open, and then it ends up scarring as badly as that one has.
Well, those oxpeckers sometimes can be a nuisance. They make those wounds very irritating, and sometimes you see the animals shaking their ears or legs. But of course, after that, over here we have the beautiful topi, an antelope found only in East Africa. It resembles the Southern African tsetse, but I think there is a minute difference only in the horns, but size-wise, they have that hunchback. They have those black blotches on their back legs and forelegs, and you can see these guys are happy munching away this beautiful grass. It might look very dry, but I tell you, it's still got those nutritional value that everybody, wants in his body. And so they will continue eating it. The only thing that they will need to have, to look for is water. Over here, there is no scarcity of water. There's long rivers and streams that stretch down to the Mara River. And also there's small watering holes here and there that hold water for long periods of time. If you look a long way down, there is long line of trees, and that's where you can see, past the top you'll see there's a line of bushes there. Definitely there is water there, and that's where sometimes we come across our hidden hippos that are very dangerous in this part of the world. I'm sorry I didn't hear that. We'd like to ask again. Shidulu, of course. There's always something to see or to learn or, see, in these parts of Africa. Here in the Mara, we have about 70 mammals. And they're very different from what you have down there in Southern Africa. This topi does migrate from the Serengeti to the Mara, but big numbers of them are found here in the Masai Mara. This one you see here, it's a male and a few females, and they're not breeding this time of the year. It's part of our large size, mammals that we have here. Here they have, you can tell these guys are watching us and then, eating, so they don't have a war in the world.
We're following a crested barbet, making his journey across this marula tree.
Is it?
It's right there. I see his little head popping out and that fork.
Yeah.
Come back, barbet. You punk rocker, you. I'm not having much luck today. I lucked out very well this morning, and then sadly, this little bird is not cooperating. But it'll pop back out. And of course, it's called the punk rocker of the bush because of the coloration. And there's sort of two main color pigments that are really found in birds. And the primary one is melanin. And that's the pigment responsible for the color black. Human skin also has melanin, but it varies. It varies in the amount depending on the person. And sort of the second pigment found in birds in general is carotenoids, and they're the ones responsible for a whole range of other colours. How's it gone, BK? How sad. Maybe, has it flown off? Oh, there, I knew you wouldn't disappear. Okay, we've got it. Voila. Perfect. Finally going to reveal itself. So yes, the sort of second pigment responsible, right there on the tree. Sorry, BK lost it for a moment there. Is the carotenoids. And the exact bird that we're looking at right now will have lots of carotenoids as well as melanin. That's given the sort of black color. You see that barbet, that beak? Even if you weren't to see the rest of the bird, you would know that that beak belongs to a barbet. It's very short but very wide. Isn't he beautiful? Rosemary, you're saying you really like this bird. Me too. They're very common, we see them around, but they're just really fascinating, interest in biology. They have a unique way of breathing, and to be honest, they just look fabulous.
So we've come back to Shidulu, and she is, as you can see, not in a state of high agitation right now. She seems to be pretty unconcerned about life in general. Oh, there we go. Morning. Don't get up on our account. At least we have a view of her, because we've got a bit of height here. If we weren't this high up, all we'd see is a spot and some fairly, well, I'm going to say unattractive grass, because it's in that in-between stage between being dry and new growth. And that's because it's in the drainage line. It's nice that she lifts her head every so often, perhaps when a fly bites her. I think what she's doing is looking at her. Yes, I think Shadulu's daughter Kara is pretty much independent now. Probably not to the extent that they'll fight with each other when they see each other, but to the extent that she's killing and hunting for herself, I'm sure we are. Remember that it's a process that takes a little while. You remember how long it took as we watched it happen with Thandi and Tlalamba, and how often they would be together and then not, and then slowly that relationship broke down to the extent that it became hostile. But long before it became hostile, Tlalamba was killing for herself. She and her mother are very distinctive looking, and two of the only leopards that I'm able to identify on sight.
Okay, so still no sign of this bird. But we're just going to bite the bullet here. We've got like another 10 minutes or so. I could be completely wrong. I know for a fact it's inside there. There's no doubt in my mind. But this is what it takes. If you want to have these kind of sightings, you really just need to be patient. And just to put you all at rest, those of you worried, we are not disturbing this animal in any way whatsoever. I would have preferred to be a little bit further away, but we're still 15 or 20 yards. So don't worry about it. There's no impact on this animal. It'll come out in its own time. It may only come out quite a bit later in the day. That's the thing after drive. But that's just one of those things. But I'd rather be I know I'm running out of time. Be patient. Come on. Stick with me. Stick with me. Stay away from the light. No, hey, if it doesn't work today, we can do it again tomorrow if you want to. That's up to you. But I'm very keen for these kind of things. Edward says it may have gone to a different hole and flown off. No. He's here. Trust me, he's here. I know people who know people who know people. This one is still here. But I don't want to do this if you don't want to do it. I mean, I do want to do it if you don't want to do it. But I won't do it if you don't want to do it, if you know what I mean. So, if you're keen, we can do it again tomorrow. And how bizarre is this? A belated April Fool's joke? Not at all. No. This is the real McCoy. The real deal. No. This is just a matter of time, that's all. Denise says she thinks I'm pulling everyone's leg. I promise you I'm not. I promise you I'm not. And by the way, those of you who think I've been hiding Melanie, there's Melanie. It's definitely not Melanie. But look how cool she's looking, eh? She's still with us on every single drive. Oh, the bird just flew out. It just flew out. It's just gone. You missed it. You all missed it. I can't believe it.
So we are still here with glorious Shadulu, not being particularly glorious right now, but why should she be? She's tired. She's had a rough night of looking for things to eat. She might be pregnant, but that's definitely not confirmed. The only reason I say that is because somebody asked. So before I create expectation, and every so often a bird comes past and sees her, takes offence, alarm calls, and then moves on with their lives. The latest being the grey go-away bird. And now as the heat starts to build, every time you look up in the sky there'll be a bird of prey floating gently by.
We have came across some kudus, all females, very relaxed, feeding on, I think this is a combretum here, browsing. And a female kudu can weigh about 170. There's some females here, BK on the right side. 170 kilograms. That is a lot of body weight. And it was an adult female kudu that the two dogs, the alpha male and female of the Pungwe pack, took down alone. Without the rest of the pack, it was just the two of them taking down an adult. It wasn't a calf, it was an adult. We had the video of a takedown that someone managed to take on their personal phone, and it was just absolutely incredible. I have to say, I don't think I quite realised the strength or the power of wild dogs, because they're light, they're nimble on their feet. They really don't have much body weight behind them. I mean, a wild dog probably comes in at about 30 kilograms maximum. The males are heavier than the females, of course, but sorry, it's really windy here. Everything's blowing around. So yes, and they managed to take down an adult female kudu like this. Isn't that incredible? You can see they've got that camel-like hump. And they're the second largest antelope in South Africa, next to the eland. Yes, wow. Completely wow. I really didn't anticipate that two wild dogs could take down an animal this large. Most of their diet is made up of impala, but generally speaking, they will take down all sorts of other species, and kudu is part of that. So what a drive, slightly disappointing about Tiani and Cub, but that's okay. We'll try and see if we can do anything for this afternoon. We did get lots of nice photos, but if it's possible, we will absolutely do it. And James got very lucky with Shadula. I knew she was on her way. She was on her way last night, and she's made it back into Djuma. So hopefully, she'll hang around for a few days. A brave kudu. So that's it for the morning drive, I'm afraid, everyone. But of course, as you know, we'll be back out this afternoon. So a huge thank you to everyone who jumped on board for all your comments and questions. We shall see you this afternoon. Have a great day wherever you are in the world.